I gotta pour one out for old Jimmy. If YouTube is watching, I'm 23 years old, so this is perfectly legal. Hello everyone, my name is Jamie. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are doing a Dollar Tree book review. I don't know if you can tell by the sound of my voice, but I'm feeling a bit under the weather. But I still wanted to make a video because I only had good things to say about this book, and I really wanted to kind of just encourage other people to read it. Also, I got a different mic. This is my boyfriend's mic that he uses for like music recording. I thought maybe it would be better for the video. So The Last Newspaper Boy in America by Sue Corbett is a children's literary chapter book. This is the kind of children's lit that encourages me to also write children's literature. I don't know if I mentioned it on this channel yet, but I am in the process of drafting my own children's chapter book, like juvenile, middle grade fiction chapter book. And this book kind of motivates me to write because it's the kind of children's literary book where it's digestible for kids. You know, it's a small, short read with like a 12-year-old protagonist that kids can relate to, and it's digestible, but it also introduces a lot of big themes that children should learn about. They should have the right to learn about these kind of big themes, but also this is entertaining enough for me as an adult. Like, I started crying at this book. This book is like really well done. It doesn't talk down to children, and it doesn't treat them like like they're too young to know anything. So this book is about a young 12-year-old boy named Wilson Glenn David V, who is the direct descendant of the founder of his town, Steele, Pennsylvania. Steele, Pennsylvania is a very small, out-of-the-way rural town whose only source of employment or income or economics, I don't know the terms for it, was a hairpin factory founded by Will's great-grandfather. And that hairpin factory was bought out by a larger company and then just kind of closed down, buying out the competition. And so now this very small town has a bunch of people on unemployment who are either leaving to find other work or just like making do with what side jobs they can do. So it's a very small, poor town. Will's family, being the family of the founder of the town, has all of these like traditions that they like to follow. One of them being that each boy at the age of 12 takes over the newspaper route. And Will, being the youngest boy of the lineage, is just turned 12 and will be taking over the newspaper route after his birthday. And he's very excited. This is the thing he's been looking forward to his entire life. I mean, he has perfect aim. He practices it religiously. He's really into physics and like science and aerodynamics and stuff, so he has found the way to like efficiently throw and like uses science to throw the newspapers. This is like his dream, and a part of that is because it's going to be his first job. Newspaper boys get tips, and so he wants to collect that money and save it in order to buy himself a laptop. This is a very small town with very weak internet and cable connections. Also, this book was written in the year 2000. I think it's supposed to be set in the 2000s, and so this is like introducing internet and TV and media through online sources rather than physical sources like newspapers. And Will wants a laptop in order to stay at the library and be able to do the research and the learning that he wants to do, rather than having the limitations of borrowing a library computer where you get only like 20 minutes and stuff. The conflict comes when the paper, the like local paper, tells him that they're shutting down home delivery to Steele, which angers Will because he's out of a job. This is the one thing he's looked forward to his entire 12 years. Now he won't be able to be the newspaper boy. He won't be able to carry on this tradition, this family tradition. It brings up this idea that the newspaper is cutting the route because it's not profitable, which implies that these people who live out of the way and in a small, poor town are not worthy of having the news and having information. It's pointed out multiple times that they have very weak internet connection. They don't get a lot of channels on their TV. It's not like they can just go to the internet or look on their phones or look on the TV for news. A lot of them rely on the local paper in order to see what's going on and be informed citizens, which is a really interesting debate, especially now that we live in an internet world where you can look up the news and several different news sources in like 2 seconds. But I live in a metropolis area. I live somewhere that has internet connection, but the people out in rural Montana or Wyoming, out in the mountains, don't have that luxury, and they still rely on physical copies of newspapers to be informed citizens. And everyone has the right to be an informed citizen and to have access to the news and the goings-ons and the political debates and all of that. It is all very important. And this book does a very excellent job of not only describing how that's an issue, but showing how to fight back, because Will, obviously fighting against the local newspaper, rallies people with petitions, with information, all of this to fight back against the caller, which is the local paper's decision. It's a really, really good display of how protests happen. And I really liked that. The author does a really good job of showing that idea in the details. So at one point, Will is trying to look up news articles about this like crooked carny. There's like a carnival side plot where Will's trying to win $1,000, but he's also trying to figure out how they like trick people, because all carnival games are rigged. And so he's looking up these articles and he sees a bunch of them that break down how this carnival in another city got in trouble for being accused of being rigged, and he's trying to figure out more information on what the accusations were. Basically, you get the first 100 words of the article, and then at the bottom it says so and so prides itself on having access to the news, so the first 100 words are free, but you do have to pay for the rest of the article. And you see that each time with each article. And I've had that happen. I'm trying to look up a New York Times article and it pops up and says I have to subscribe for more information, or I have to pay a certain amount of money for more information. And it sucks, because when you're a college kid trying to do research, if you're a person trying to understand the goings-ons in the world, if you are a kid who wants to look up more information about something and you can't because it's behind a paywall, like that sucks. And that really shows how information is no longer free, even though it should be, it's supposed to be. I get that newspapers are corporations, but like, come on, guys. This book does a really good job of explaining that and showing that through the details, and how Will trying to, divert the caller's decision has to go to other newspapers in order for them to actually listen and say, hey, we are worthy of having the news. We are worthy of being informed, and just because you can't make money off of us doesn't mean that we are unworthy of having this information. And it's just really good. Will also, like I said, is a super genius when it comes to science. He really likes science, and he really likes physics, specifically, and aerodynamics and aerospace engineering, things like that. And he uses that in very interesting ways in order to identify how the carnival games are rigged. It's really, really interesting because he does use the scientific method and stuff, so it's like an introduction to that, and showing how the scientific method gets you, different hypotheses and answers, and working to find an answer. And when it is all revealed, it was actually surprising to me. Like, it wasn't something I could see from a million miles away, and it also wasn't something that came out of the blue. All of the clues and all of the things that Will observed led up to the answer, and so that was really interesting to see, and it was very nicely planned out. Will has this older brother named Sonny, who he got a little bit annoying because he has a lot of malapropisms. He gets confused very easily by idioms. But the relationship between Sonny and Will and their older brother Trace is really adorable. Trace isn't seen very much, but the two brothers, Sonny and Will, who are very passionate about being newspaper boys, is very cute. And I don't have any brothers, but I feel like that is a very brotherly brotherly, like a very good depiction of brotherhood. There's also this one character named Anne Douglas that Will is very annoyed by because everyone seems to like her, but Will finds her very annoying, and she has like a crush on Sunny. And it's really cute because it shows, a 12-year-old boy has no interest in this girl who's like tagging along beside him and doesn't like any of the things that he likes, but she and his mother are like best friends and whatnot. And so it's really cute to see them like become friends over the course of the book and have like a real heart-to-heart. And it's adorable, and I do love it. It was so cute. This was a very, very short video, but I just wanted to talk about how adorable this book was because I thought of this as like 5 out of 5 stars. This didn't have any like complex mysteries or relationships or scandals. It didn't have any graphic scenes, which it seems like some people think are needed to have an enjoyable book. This was a very wholesome, adorable book that touched on these really big and in-depth themes about information and the freedom to have that information. It also touches on financial difficulties because, like I said, the hairpin factory was like the only source of jobs for most of the people. So Will's family is kind of struggling because their dad has run out of his unemployment checks and they cannot find somebody to take over the factory, another company to move in to the factory to then, turn it into a profitable business. I was reading this with my boyfriend, like I was reading it out loud, and they started talking about like what seed money is and how a community has to show some money up front for somebody to move into a business. And they talk about how like this is venture capitalism. I was like, this is a book for 12-year-olds. And they're talking about financial difficulties like this, which is really real, and it's important for kids to have a place to learn about that, even if it's a fictional setting, because sometimes kids aren't going to pay attention in school, but it's still something that their family might be going through, or something that they'll go through eventually in their life, and it's good that they have an understanding. This helped me understand like venture capitalism and the freedom of information and stuff like that. So I really like this book. That's going to be it from me. I just wanted to do a quick little review because I've been reading a lot of books where I either haven't had any thoughts on, or like I had like exactly 2 minutes of thoughts on, so I made a TikTok instead. So I thought I'd just make a little video where I just talked about the good things of this book. I feel like I always talk about negative things, so I wanted to make a little video about the positives of a book, because honestly I don't think there were any negatives. This book was like really well planned out, really well delivered, really interesting, lovable characters, and some really interesting and deep themes that were demonstrated in a great way. So that's all I have to say about this book. That's going to be it for me. Remember to enjoy your Labor Day and have a margarita if you're over 21, or whatever your drinking age is in your country. I'm so sick. I got margarita on him. Tito, I'm so sorry.